Inglewood High by D-Smoke. D-Smoke made quite the impression on Netflix's Rhythm and Flow. Growing up in Inglewood, California in a musical family, D-Smoke learned how to play the drums as well as the piano. He showcased his piano skills and speaking Spanish on the show. How does he do on his own, though? Here's our honest review of Inglewood High by D-Smoke.
Inglewood High.
D-Smoke.
By D-Smoke, man. How you feel about this album artwork, man?
I actually like the way the picture was shot. Like, I feel like there was a lot of thought put in, well, not a lot of thought to it, but like, you know, just to give something to, I guess, describe where he's come from and everything like that. But I do like the shot, how it got the Inglewood High and where he's positioned in the shot. So I think I'm a fan of the shot. As a cover, I'm just like, I don't know, but I am a fan of the shot.
If you're wondering why I paused, because I was about to ask another question, but we should probably save that for when we talk about Rhythm and Flow.
Oh,
but
okay.
Anyway, yeah, the album artwork is pretty dope. I feel like, and I didn't really notice it before that it was actually the high school.
Oh,
because I was looking at it on my phone, and you know, it was like,
oh, okay.
And and it fits the theme. It's like all the songs kind of pertain to high school and like shortly after his ascent from high school.
Yeah.
So I think that's dope. I think it's a dope shot as well. The flow of this project, man, I just feel like this was D-Smoke. Just trying to get everybody's taste buds a little wet from pause that, but just to keep his sound in your ear fresh off of the show. Almost every single person from the show released a project on the week they were cut or the week the show ended, except for Flawless Real Talk, which I'm really unsure why he would do that, because that's a great time to capitalize.
Yeah.
You know, he got a whole bunch of followers on social media from the show.
Yeah.
It would have been a great time to capitalize off a project, I think. But yeah, that's how I feel about the flow of this project.
Yeah, the flow is basically, you know, get to know D-Smoke if you haven't already. You know, get the gist of who he is and what he's going to be about.
Highlights from this joint, man. Inglewood High came on, and I was immediately like, man, this joint is fire.
Wish it was longer.
The way the intro came in and the way they got you started, the hook, the story. Like, I was sitting there envisioning it. I like how he talked about both of his brothers. You know, one of them decided to sing, one of them decided to ball out with sports, and he decided to go the route he ended up going, and he ended up becoming a teacher by the end of the joint without credentials. I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
He didn't have the actual credentials for it, so that joint was fire. Little Red, man, that joint is fire, man. You can play that riding around in your car if you want something to blast out. Go ahead, rock with the Little Red. Honey Jack might be my favorite song on the project. This joint is fire. The beat is fire.
Flames.
I never even heard of Honey Jack alcohol before or liquor. Never heard of it before.
Never.
You heard of it? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I never heard of it before. That was new to me. I was just like, oh, that's a brand of liquor, but that's actually pretty cool. And Ain't You featuring Tiffany Ghosh. I think that he said that's his cousin. That was actually really dope, man. It's got a really smooth vibe to it. It's one of them girly joints. It sounds like something I could hear Joe Buttons on if it wasn't D-Smoke on it. That joint was fire. Those are my favorite songs on this joint.
Yeah,
No, The Game too, man. The Game it's kind of hard to leave that one out. The Game is fire.
Yeah, man, same here. Inglewood High was a great way to open it up. I wish it was a little bit longer, but I get it. Serve the intro to the album. Lil Red goes in hard, especially when he switches up his flow and start rapping in Spanish. Like, I feel like, you know, even though that seems like to be his thing, he does it so well. It doesn't come off as gimmicky. It comes off natural and organic. So that's what I really like about that. Honey Jack is amazing. I played that back 3 times. Like, usually I try to let the album flow all the way through, but I had to play that back because just of how it sounded and everything like that, it was great. The Game was great. I believe that was the one with Terrence Martin at the end.
Yeah, playing the saxophone.
Ooh, beautiful. Ain't You is a great song too. And I like what D-Smoke did on Carry On. I thought that was great.
Lowlights, man. I don't know what it was about Carry On, but I just felt like the way it ended the project, it just didn't feel like a proper ending.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to explain.
No, I feel you.
But the thing with the Spanish rapping, so he does it really well, right? Mm-hmm. And this isn't a low light. I'm just talking about it right here because I could see it potentially becoming a low light. He has to continue to figure out ways to use it the way he's using it right now, because at some point it could be gimmicky.
Yeah.
Because on the show, there were times where I was just like, all right, it's almost feeling gimmicky. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You really do this.
Yeah.
But you got to find interesting ways to incorporate it and stuff like that. And I feel like on this project he did do that, but I feel like he runs the risk of it becoming gimmicky if he doesn't find creative ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? But aside from that, man, it's kind of hard to knock this project. The beats was knocking, the lyrics was on point.
Yeah, man, the only lights I had was On Paper. I thought, like, after Inglewood High, it didn't come in really hard as the tone of the album set. I still liked the song, but it was just kind of inappropriately placed. Carry On, I just didn't enjoy Tommy's sketch on it. I thought it wasn't really needed, but I enjoyed D-Smoke on it. But that's the only things I had problem with. I do agree with you with the Spanish-speaking part. It could become a gimmick, but I get it. That's his identity, and he wants to, give his listeners who he is and who he's about. But I'm with you. If he finds ways to incorporate that, but not come as a trend for his music, like, I bet you, like, people are like, we're going to expect this every project we get from you. But if he finds creative ways to do it, it can be, like, solidified in his artistry.
Final thoughts, man. Look, man, I think D-Smoke is dope as an artist. He definitely has something very unique about him. He does sound very close to Kendrick Lamar. I don't want to say that, but it's hard to ignore. Like, his voice sounds like him at times. The way he speaks sounds like him at times. It might just be the LA lingo. I'm not 100% sure. He can't help it that his voice sounds very similar to his, but it sounds pretty similar to his. And he has to keep separating himself with the way he chooses to rap and everything like that. Because I felt like when I heard Honey Jack, I was like, yo, if Kendrick was on this song with him, just imagine how hard of a time you would have had trying to figure out whose verse was who. Because Kendrick has rapped in that exact tone plenty of times. Yeah. So he has to be very wary of that. I feel like he's really creative, man. But people will say that the performance that he did on Rhythm and Flow was very Kendrick-esque. So he has to be very, very particular about how he goes about his career, because I want to see him succeed. I don't want to see people always constantly throwing Kendrick's name out there. Like, you even heard Cardi, Kendrick Lamar, I got a new friend for you. Yeah, like, it's just like, that's what you think of when you think of D-Smoke. Dope artist, really lyrical. His wordplay is really on point, man. And I can't wait to see where he goes from here. But he has to really watch where he goes creatively, or else people are just going to try to say he's like a clone of somebody else. And that's the worst thing that could happen to you in the industry.
Yeah, I feel like, that's another thing he has to look out for. And I think what can set him apart is just his talents. He got the pianos, he can play the guitar and everything like that. I think if he brings a little bit more of his musical expertise in his music, that can set him apart from the comparisons to Kendrick and any other artist. But on top of that, I feel like he has a very strong musical game. I want to see more from him, and I hope, he tries to, even though he solidified who he is as an artist, I hope he continues to grow. Now that he has, this newfound fame and everything like that, don't just stay in his pocket. I want him to see him to continue to challenge himself. So I hope with this project and everything like other success of Rhythm and Flow, he continues to challenge himself as an artist to continue to grow.
Final grade, man. Look, this is actually pretty easy. I'm going to give it a check. I feel like D-Smoke is somebody to look out for. Listen to it. Actually sit there and listen to it. You might need to get a conversion for the Spanish. Try to get my son to convert it for me, but he was just like, he's talking too fast. This word was that, this word was that, but he's talking too fast. Can you rewind it? I'm like, I'm not about to play this 10 times just so you can try to figure it out. But yeah, it was actually it's actually really cool, man. And I think it's definitely something people will enjoy, especially if you like what people consider backpack rap, real rap, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. D-Smoke falls in that category. You ain't getting no BS out of this one.
Nah, man. Check from me as well. You're going to get some great bars. You're going to get some great melodies. And you're just going to get some great music, man. Shout out to D-Smoke.